Hey, it's What's Your Favorite Movie, the podcast that dares to ask the question, what's your favorite movie? This is your old movie buddy, Ed South, and you can find me on Twitter at Ed South, but more importantly, go on the Twitter and follow our account at WYF Movie Podcast. That's where you're going to find all kinds of fun stuff related to the movies that we talk about and all kinds of good stuff like that. So please, at WYF Movie Podcast on the Twitter. And obviously, if you're listening to us, you know how to find us. But if you want to tell your friends, we're on iTunes and Spreaker also, and Twitter and all these things. So you can do that as well. One of the cool things about doing this show, about starting this project, is that it's forced me to reach a little bit outside of my normal teeny tiny circle of friends, of people that I talk to every day, and try to coerce some other people to come onto the show. And today I've traveled actually down to Baltimore. This is our first show on the road, and we're talking with a good old friend of mine, Jaime. Jaime, how's it going?
It is going great.
Thank you so much for doing the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Jaime and I used to work together
many moons ago.
Yeah. I think 98 to 2000, whenever, at a major museum.
Yes, we'll put it that way.
When did you leave the museum?
I think it was 2005.
Oh, okay. You were there a lot longer than I was.
Yeah.
I left repeatedly, but for good, in 2001, I think it was. Sometimes my choice, sometimes against my own whatever. And Jaime is a telecom engineer for a major healthcare corporation known as the Scheinhart Wig Corporation.
Yes.
But I knew Jaime was really into movies and pop culture and all her things. And not only does she like movies, she loves her movies that she loves. So
yes,
she was
a
perfect guest. And you were kind enough to share the last episode on your Facebook. And then we got to talk, and I said, thanks for doing that, and blah, blah, blah. And now here we are. Yep. I don't think we've seen each other in maybe 15 years, or...
I think, no, it's probably been since, I think, 2003.
Since Brian and Janae's wedding. Yeah, our friends Brian and Janae, who also worked with us. Then, and we didn't watch...
you know what, thinking about it now, a lot of good came from that job.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
a lot of friendships.
The job part that we would just kind of want to forget about.
And some of the people, but but
a lot of them still ridiculously great, insanely cool, creative, smart people.
Yeah, doing all kinds of cool things everywhere.
Yeah.
Have we ever been to a movie together? I don't think so.
No, well, wait a minute. Were you at the premiere for Honky?
Well, yes, that's true.
So that would have been the one movie we saw together.
The movie, which is I'm in. Are you in Honky the movie?
I am not in Honky.
I am in Honky the movie.
But it was a great, fun film.
And since you brought that up, we owe the audience an explanation.
Yes.
We're not going to get into that now, but hopefully we'll have the star of Honky the movie on sometime.
I hope so.
And that'll be cool. But I was thinking, I know one time at the museum after hours, a bunch of us went to see Pokemon the movie. Were you not there for that?
I did not. I did not partake in that excursion.
And my son, who's 12, is absolutely amazed that I saw Pokemon the movie in the theater when
really?
I guess we were in our 20s at that point or whatever. But yeah, he is very amazed by that. So, and you can find Jaime on Twitter at Vera Blue. Is there an explanation for that name?
I think it's Vera Blue 9669.
Oh, what? No, I looked it up. It's just Vera
Is
Blue.
it?
Unless you have another one, I don't know. That's the one. It's just Vera Blue.
Yeah.
So when I said Jaime loves all her pop culture, and I was looking forward to coming down and seeing her house because it's like a museum in here. There's so much cool stuff all over the place.
It's a museum to not having children, which is
That's
my
true.
life.
That's true. And this painting over here that you had commissioned, which I'm going to put a picture up of it on Twitter. So please follow us at WIF Movie Podcast. But you had this commissioned, which is awesome.
Yes.
Who has a commissioned painting in their room, in their house? And it's a shout out to a handful of movies.
It's actually,
and pop culture stuff and whatnot.
It's probably like just a snapshot of my brain for pop culture.
That's awesome.
And tribute for it. You know, it's it's a gentleman in Wisconsin, all day painting. He's very cool, and he did it in I think like a month. You know,
it's awesome.
But it's got Iggy Pop, David Bowie.
Iggy Pop's in Crybaby, right?
Yes, he is.
One of my favorite movies.
He actually did a great job in that film.
So we have Iggy Pop,
Patti Smith, David Bowie, and they are beating up Lady Gaga
A Simpson-esque Lady
yes,
Gaga, which makes it even cooler. Because you're a huge Simpsons fan, right?
Indeed, and that's kind of why it's even better.
Yeah.
And then in the background, we have Howard Beale from, I believe it would be the fourth monologue in the film.
In Network. Which we'll talk about in a little bit.
And Buddy Christ.
Buddy Christ.
Also in the painting.
I know is Kevin Smith. Is that Dogma? Or is that...
That is Dogma.
Okay.
Yes.
And then he pops up throughout the rest of the...
He stayed in the universe, which I kind of like.
In the View Askew universe,
yes, just very cool.
Good stuff. So, yeah, Jamie and I got to talking because she posted my show, reposted it, which is what everyone should do so we can get some more listeners. And first of all, you were amazed at my at one time possession of the Flipper soundtrack.
Well, it was more the fact that it actually existed to begin with. Like, the fact that you owned it, though, wasn't...
Isn't surprising.
That wasn't really the shocking part, but it was like, that was a thing?
It was a thing. I had the tape, and I'm sure I either lost it or wore it completely out, but I looked up what was on the soundtrack here so we can validate.
I would like to know.
First of all, you had a remake of the classic In the Summertime by Shaggy.
Okay.
And then there was Do It Again by the Beach Boys, It's Not Unusual by Tom Jones, a song called Tipatina by Professor Longhair. Is that somebody you've heard of?
No.
And then the Flipper theme redone by Matthew Sweet. Whatever happened to him.
Wait a minute, really?
Yeah.
That I actually wouldn't mind hearing.
That's actually in the movie when they play the song.
Wow.
And then 10 tracks of score by the London Symphony Orchestra. I'm sure one of the highest points of their career.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad soundtrack, though.
No, it's a great soundtrack.
Beach Boys, Matthew Sweet, which, I mean, there's a lot of really good Matthew Sweet tracks out there, but it's like...
Is he still around?
Yeah, I think so.
And the CD's not on Amazon or Twitter or Spotify. I looked it up, but you can find some of the songs.
It's like eBay only, maybe.
On that, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, check it out. It's a great movie. I still haven't gotten to it. I want to watch it since the last episode when we were talking about...
I can't even remember if I've seen it.
I saw it. I've seen it many times.
Really can't.
And also, I touch on a movie that you and I both hold very dearly to our hearts, not in either of our top 5 lists, but Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet, and my mother even loves this film.
Nice.
I think she remembered it from like years back, and then when she was like, "Oh, this is a great movie," and I was like, "You know this movie?" It was like a little bit of a shock.
Night of the Comet is like 86, I think.
It's so,
very, it's right smack in the middle of the 80s. Mm. And there's a comet. A comet hits the Earth.
Yeah, it's like a Halley's Comet type scenario,
right?
which was very popular.
Coming up on Halley's Comet hits the Earth, and everybody dies except these 2 sisters. Well, almost everybody dies except for these 2 sisters. One because she was sleeping in a
projection booth.
Well, the one girl was sleeping in the shed.
That's right, yeah.
In the back of the house, and that was Kelly Maroney,
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, and then the second girl was like getting it on with the projectionist at the movie theater, and it was like a metal projection booth.
Yeah, so it was like encased in lead for some reason.
So they survive, and I think that's Mary Stuart Masterson. Is that or Catherine Mary Stewart is the second one. Yeah. My favorite of the 2 Mary Stewarts in Hollywood. And and then they are like the only 2 left. So what do? They go shopping. That
was like the best part. It was like, not only is there a disaster, we're going to completely... It's the most 80s thing that you could do in a movie at the time, was to have a montage of women shopping. There really needs to be like a genre movie that is nothing but women shopping.
It happens quite
pop songs.
It happens quite often in movies.
Yes,
great movie. So you should check that out. And it's got zombies in it, long before zombies were trendy.
And it even has that one woman, that one female actress who played like the bad scientist or whatever, because she was even in like that Rock and Roll High School revival.
I wish I knew. I should have looked up there.
She played like a lot of the villain women in certain campy 80s movies at the time. That was like, I think her character tour de force was doing that role.
Are there cops in the background? Is that a siren?
It probably is. Yes, we are in Baltimore City.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Very close to the downtown area.
We have to look up Night of the Comet real quick and see.
And get that woman's name.
Get the woman's name, because if she's who was she though? A doctor?
Yeah, she played one of the scientists that survived. And
the problem with IMDb is when you look at it, the picture isn't necessarily the picture.
Might be recent.
Yeah. So I don't know, Doris or Audrey or. Yeah. Well, this girl was in Can't Buy Me Love, but whatever.
Yeah.
Let's move on from
that. We'll figure that out later.
So, as always, I asked Jamie to come up with a list of her 5 favorite movies, and she gave me a list of so many delights, and I have to say I had a great week of movie watching because I caught up on 3 of these movies, and some, whatever, I hadn't seen. I don't think I'd seen number 1 on your list, which is Big Trouble in Little China.
Really?
1986. I thought I had maybe seen it. Like, I was like, I don't remember any of this. And I put it in, and I was like, none of this is ringing a bell whatsoever.
Yeah. It's you've either heard of it and love it, or you've maybe heard of it but never seen it. There's only 2 kinds of people in the world.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It was good. It was really, really good.
You liked it? Cool.
Yeah, I did like it. It, like, starts right off, minimal setup, minimal plot. Let's just go for it. And then it's just like a chase for like 90-some minutes and fighting and magic and all kinds of stuff.
Well, it originally actually started a lot faster because the beginning, the whole, that was added after the fact. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's normal paced for 5 or 10 minutes and then bang, it just goes.
Off to the races.
Yeah, for the whole movie. It never lets down, which is great. Because movies always slow down and get sappy and whatever.
Yeah.
So, what's your first experience with Big Trouble in Little China? When did it first enter Jamie's heart?
See, I never saw that one in the theaters because, I mean, it came out and I would have been 5.
All right.
And I'm pretty sure I was like a 6-year-old kid and probably stumbled upon it on cable.
Right.
Because cable, that was like, we grew up in the golden age of cable, I think, where they just had to fill HBO with
they didn't have all their signature classy shows.
There were no shows.
It was just movies.
I kind of miss that. Because
definitely.
We totally found a lot of great films.
And they didn't show, HBO didn't show R-rated movies before 8 o'clock, so that limited what they were showing while we were home from school or whatever, and they would repeat over and over again.
Which you could kind of like get away with seeing some stuff that you might be a little bit too young for, but it seemed okay.
Yeah, and you would know all right, 47 minutes into this movie, there's some nudity, so I'll sneak it in while Mom's in the kitchen doing this or that. But
oddly enough, that movie has one F-bomb in it. Which I did not even notice until probably I was about 12 or 13.
Well, I feel like when we were younger, the F-bomb wasn't elevated to like that's like now it's like still the last curse word of your major curse words. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't so much of a special curse word. It was just in there, and it's in plenty of PG rated movies.
And the fact that they just had it in there, but there's no big deal about it. It played. Yeah. Ironically, we're saying like the F word playing perfectly, but it actually did in the movie. But yeah, I would have been about 6 years old, stumbled upon it as like on HBO or something, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, it was like this magical movie where
definitely magical.
It's I tell people it's the movie that made me fall in love with movies.
That's awesome.
That they could really take you to this place and then bring you back in such a great way, and I love that about the movie. It's got like this whole mysticism. It's a story about the the good guys coming together and doing this amazing thing. And it wasn't even until I was older that I realized, so Kurt Russell really isn't the hero, and it's I was like, I didn't understand that as a kid, but it definitely was a great fun film. Lots of action,
nonstop,
amazing stunt choreography in that film. It's just so much fun.
One thing I liked about it also was the practical effects, which meaning not computer animation.
Beautiful.
And there was a monster in it, and you can just tell it's actually a guy. I mean, it doesn't look like a guy in a suit, but it's a guy in a suit. It's not a cartoon.
1986.
It's not CG. And then that blobby head thing. Does he have a name?
The seeing eye?
The little blobby eye guy.
I don't know how they did that, though.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's just like, that is an old school effect right there, because you can see the little fuzzy around them.
It was probably like an overlay.
Computer overlay, right.
Yeah. And even the one scene where Egg Shen fights Lo Pan, that was like just basically like a light and shadow sequence that was filmed, which it works really well, and it just looks fun, and it
kind of plays like an old kung fu movie, like one of those old kung fu movies you would see on Sunday afternoon.
That was the homage to it.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's what they were going for?
A little bit, yeah. Carpenter kind of wanted to throw back to all those great kung fu movies from decades gone by. And then, lo and behold, of course, 20 years later, that becomes like a big, popular Hollywood genre. And here he's everything
comes around,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And Kurt Russell is like playing the ultimate action star in this. He's got his Billy Ray haircut going on and his tank top, his very 80s tank top. It's almost like whatever that logo is on it. It's like a sun and a van and a moon or whatever.
Oh, you mean that?
Oh, okay. I meant to ask you.
That I have tattoos.
As I knew you had a lot of tattoos. There she is. There's a Big Trouble in Little China tattoo.
Yes.
And that's on his shirt?
That's the shirt design, yes.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
I had that done several years ago as a tattoo. I'm really glad I got it.
That's awesome.
And I actually got to watch the movie while the tattoo artist was doing it. Because it's very cool.
Yeah. That's an amazing what's your favorite movie story right
yes.
there. That's awesome. Yeah. Do you have any other movie-related tattoos? Or?
Well, I have a Death's Head moth.
From
Silence of the Lambs.
Well, I was going to say Silence of the Lambs.
Movie, well, this one's more TV-related.
What's that?
This is the Never Again from the X-Files.
Okay.
I didn't get it perfectly for the X-Files. There's another story behind that one, but I am really glad I got it now because it looks insanely cool.
That's awesome.
What's
that ChemLab one? What's that?
That's actually where my Twitter handle comes from.
Oh,
it's a song from an early 90s industrial band.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
It all comes around.
It's lots of pop culture none of you people know about, but it's okay.
And not only are you rocking the tattoo, she wore her, what does that say? Big Trouble in Little Warp Zone. Okay.
It's Mario.
Yeah, it's a Mario Brothers Big Trouble in Little China shirt, so I guess it's the movie poster kind of redone in Mario Land, which is beyond awesome.
Yeah. I did recently get a tank top that's this design, but it's called Big Trouble in Little Empire, and instead of this guy, it's Darth.
Oh, okay.
With the Death Star.
We got to remember to get a picture of that tattoo before we go, so we can put that on the Twitter.
Indeed.
And everybody will say, hey, I should go to @WYF Movie Podcast on Twitter and follow that. So, yeah, this is a great movie. Corny romantic banter in it. And what else?
Amazing quotable dialogue.
Right.
Just so many quotes from that. Actually, ironically, that movie has the same quote as another movie on my list. There is one shared line between both of them.
Will you remember to come back to that, or should we say
it now?
Okay,
I will get to that one.
We'll remind you.
Yes.
And it was directed by John Carpenter, who's a Hollywood legend.
Mm-hmm. And score legend as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love his score. And he actually did a really good job with the score on this one,
I
think.
Yeah, it is good. Which I'll also try to remember another movie on your list which has a horrible score, but we'll get to that. He directed Halloween, which is a great movie. I love that. And then The Fog and Escape. Do you like Escape from New York? And Escape?
I love the Escape series.
Right.
New York and L.A. and Prince of Darkness.
Okay.
That's a really good one. It actually has some of the same actors from Big Trouble in Little China.
Nice.
And it even has Alice Cooper.
Okay.
Is in it.
Who's a horror character in real life?
No, the singer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
like the makeup and everything.
Yeah, he is,
right?
yeah. And They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Nice.
That was a great film. That was a very good film. A very fun film.
What
very
is that?
Quotable. That one...
What is it called? Prince of...
that one was They Live.
They Live, okay. Yeah. Yes. And he did Christine, the Stephen King movie. Mm-hmm. And then when I was looking through his list, just out of the blue, kind of random movie, Memoirs of an Invisible Man with Chevy Chase.
I think I only saw that once.
Me too. I don't think it's rewatchable. I'd like to revisit it now and see if it's any, watch it with a different take. But
he also did the Elvis TV movie with Kurt Russell.
Right. He's done a handful of movies with Kurt Russell. Which, good segue, let's talk about Kurt Russell for a minute. He's
my favorite.
He's so good in this because he's... Another one of your movies, again, this all hits the same, actors playing right to their strong, their character, their persona. That's the word I'm looking for. And this is Kurt Russell 101 right here. He is so. And I watched it, and I don't come across Kurt Russell too much in my movie going, but when I saw it, I was like, that is Kurt Russell right there, the good old Kurt Russell.
Yes.
So besides what you've already mentioned, any other Kurt Russell faves in your canon?
Oh gosh, definitely Miracle.
Nice.
I mean,
nice.
I personally thought he should have gotten an Oscar nom for that because he nailed that.
Yeah,
part.
That's a powerful film.
Silkwood.
Nice.
Of course, he was in the Escape series.
Right.
Definitely. Wasn't a big, huge fan of Stargate. I think that was probably just because when it came out, I didn't care.
Well, Jamie, let me tell you what my favorite Kurt Russell film is.
What?
Captain Ron.
Captain Ron is a great film.
Captain Ron, he plays Captain Ron,
yes.
and Martin Short. It's a weird film because he's the comic, and Martin Short's kind of the straight man, although he's got some funny bits. And that's again Kurt Russell being Kurt Russell right there. And then he was also the voice of the dog in Fox and the Hound. Can't forget that. Yeah, the adult
not know that.
Copper. And then so I'm like, oh yeah, Captain Ron is definitely my favorite Kurt Russell movie. And then I look back, and he did the Dexter Riley films. Are you familiar with those?
No.
From 69 to 75, they're 3 Disney comedies.
Computer That Wore Tennis Shoes?
Yeah.
I know he did that one.
Yeah, that's a sequel to the first one is... Oh, geez, what is the first... Wait, I don't know. I can't remember. I think that's the first one. Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, and The Strongest Man in the World. They're awesome movies, yeah.
That we did get a lot of great up-and-coming actors in Disney films back in the day.
But I go back even further. The best Kurt Russell movie, hands down for me, is The Barefoot Executive, 1971. Empty look on your face. He plays... Do you know this movie?
No.
You must find it.
I will after this.
Netflix has the DVD. He is a television a network intern, and he discovers that his next-door neighbor's pet chimpanzee can pick hit television shows, and he uses that to further his career, and it's an amazing piece of film.
Why wasn't this made a series as well? I think they did.
This is true. I think they remade it in the 90s with Jay Moore in the Kurt Russell role, but yeah, no. So, and then so Big Trouble in Little China, you should check that out. It's very fun.
Yes, definitely.
And it's one of these movies that, you say the name and people are like, oh, I never seen that. Or people are like, oh my God, I love that movie. That movie is great.
There's only 2 reactions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's actually a book coming out in August from Boom Studios called The Official Making of Big Trouble in Little China.
I'm looking forward to that.
I bet you are, yeah.
Yeah, because of a lot of the set construction that they did for that.
Right, they dug up all kinds of stuff for it.
It's still there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And I recognize it in other films to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just put out the soundtrack. They re-released in a 2-disc remastered, restored soundtrack, and you can get the original soundtrack on iTunes. I bet
not on vinyl because I am a snob, and that's how I need it. But the one side story I do have about this movie, and I do
definitely
vividly remember this as a kid. It would have been, I think, 89-ish or whatever. But of course, buying movies, we couldn't buy every movie we wanted on VHS from the studio, so we would tape them when they were on TV. So I remember taping Big Trouble in Little China off TV off of the Fox affiliate here, which was Fox 5, because we didn't have one in Baltimore yet or something. I don't know.
Okay.
So I remember doing this, and it was halfway through the movie, and next thing I know, they're interrupting it for a breaking news story.
Curses.
I got very, very, very enraged.
As well you should.
Because I was a child that didn't understand the world. And they just cut to this scene, and it's this guy standing in front of a tank, and he's not moving. And I'm like, if he would just move, I could watch my movie.
Right.
And I had no idea it was the Tiananmen Square protest.
Wow, okay.
And it was in the middle of Big Trouble in Little China. So every time I see that, I think of that movie, and I get upset. But I didn't care.
Right. Does your tape have that? Well, the tape's long gone now, I assume.
The tape actually might still be in my basement.
Nice,
I just decommissioned my VHS machine, so... I did. Well, I saved it working and hooked up because I had an old VHS of some China Beach episodes. Nice. And that finally came to DVD recently, which took some time, so I was like, okay, we can unplug this now.
One of the movies on your list I only could find I grabbed a VHS copy of, which I'll point out when we get to. But yeah, so I did watch that. I was going to say, it's nice to know that somebody else in the world remembers what channel they recorded a movie off of 30 years ago.
I don't know why I remember that, but I do.
You mine. I can tell you mine. Definitely. So one of the things when I asked Jamie to do the show, and then she's like, yeah, we were going back and forth on texting and whatnot. And then, the next day, she posted on Facebook that she was watching the movie Feds.
Yes!
And I was, filled with joy, yes, this is the perfect guest for the show, because, first of all, tell me about Feds, because I will say, and not to put down this movie at all, I like such crap movies, and Feds is one of those when it came out, and I was like, wow, that looks like even crap I wouldn't watch. But I'm not putting the movie down.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, and I want to watch it now, actually.
It is a very, like, typical premise movie where, you know, two women become FBI recruits. And it's, you know, you got your strong Marine.
Is that Rebecca De Mornay?
That's Rebecca.
Okay.
And then Mary Gross plays the, I have multiple MBAs and
right.
I can read.
Right.
Like, that's her, like, she can read, basically. That's her strong suit. And they, you know, pair them together, and it's odd couple type thing. It is a very loose premise movie. It's not.
It's kind of like a Police Academy spin a little bit, isn't it?
It's a thin version of Police Academy, but with, like, a serious note, because they're not, like, you know, arresting people on skateboards.
Right,
you know,
right.
Things like that. But that was, like, another thing that I found, of course, with, like, cable.
Yeah,
because they needed stuff to play, and it was just funny, and
it's awesome.
It's a fun movie to watch. It is. I think one of the best reviews was like, it's not as bad as you think it will be.
That's what I tell people all the time. This isn't as bad as you think it will be.
Just clear your head. Just clear your head.
I just love that level of movie where it's like the critics didn't like it and people are embarrassed to like it, but I think we're coming out of that phase where people are strict. Like, I think in a couple of years you'll see somebody wearing a Fed shirt, or maybe you'll get a Feds tattoo.
It will happen. Somebody will, which kind of leads you into the next film.
Yeah, well, the whole idea of like a comfort food movie and people kind of making it like, if you put on Facebook you're watching Feds, like you're kind of like coming out to people like, yeah, I like this movie, and I do it all the time. I'm posting it, like I just watched Ladybugs the other night with Rodney Dangerfield, and I posted that. And
but it's a good one with him.
And then you see, and somebody posted something about Overboard with Kurt Russell, and
it
started like a conversation, which is really neat. And actually, my friend Gino on Facebook just the other day, just out of the blue, he's always posting like, he's a cop, and he posts like cop stuff, and he's a foodie, and then just out of the blue, so tired, but Joe versus the Volcano is on. And I was like, yeah. And it just got me thinking. So when you go into our next movie on your list, which is on your list that I shuffled for show purposes, Troop Beverly Hills from 1989, starring Shelley Long, I went on Twitter and typed in Troop Beverly Hills and found like all this love for this movie that is... real quick, what the plot of the movie, or the premise of the movie is?
It's basically a spoiled Beverly Hills housewife played by Shelley Long, who's going through a separation divorce
from Craig T. Nelson.
Played very well.
Yes,
and decides to become her daughter's, you know, wilderness girl troop leader to do something and be busy or something. I don't really remember the why. It's kind of pointless. But then hilarity ensues. And
comedy ensues.
Yes.
Right.
It's great.
And this is a movie that came out, and like people are again like, what?
It was low budget to begin with.
Yeah, apparently. Actually it was $18 million.
Yes.
I think it cost to make.
Yes,
you can hear me rustling through my notes. It cost $18 million to make and only grossed $8.5 million.
Yeah, I don't remember it in the theater.
I definitely remember it in the theater.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I remember like renting it as soon as it came out.
Okay.
And I really think deep back in my head, I'm pulling up that I owned a copy of it, but in a clamshell box, like one of the old, like Disney-style clamshell boxes, like they were selling it to a kid audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those movies like, what? Beverly Hills? And then when I got on Twitter, and I wrote some down, and I think I can just say people's Twitter handles without their legal permission, because it's on Twitter. But anyway... but like at Hotel Foxtrot, almost 30 years later, and Shelley Long's cape in Troop Beverly Hills still gives me life. At CL Coates, the only movie I have on my iPad is Troop Beverly Hills, and I'm okay with that. At the Nat Wolf, good to know that every line from Troop Beverly Hills is still in my brain. And at Wonder Gin said, I think about the movie Troop Beverly Hills way more than a normal person should. And the last one I liked, at SJW Megatron, just put Troop Beverly Hills, greater than sign, Ladybugs, fight me.
Is that going to happen?
I don't know. I should get them on the show. We'll do a lady. I love me some Ladybugs. Yes. But I was thrilled to revisit Troop Beverly Hills. And tell like, where is this? This is another HBO find.
That
for you?
was like another cable find, and I, of course, then taped it and probably watched it 100, 150 times. But it was because it was. I would have been probably 9, coming on 10
right.
when I saw it, and it was kind of like at that point in your life where you start to realize that some things are dorky and you might be perceived that way. So like I didn't tell anyone that I loved this movie. I didn't tell any of my friends. I didn't tell anybody. And fast forward 20 some odd years, maybe, give or take, and then I'm like, whoa, you saw that movie too? You know what I'm talking about? What and you're okay with saying it out loud? Like, we're all cool. We're at that point now. You know, it's kind of like, you know, when something's okay to be funny.
Yeah.
Like a horrific event or something like that. But it's like, oh yeah, it's okay.
We can confide that we like Troop Beverly Hills.
Yes, it's okay now. And it turns out a lot of people loved it from when it came. I'm like, that does make me
I even saw
better.
on Twitter somebody selling like a lapel pin of Shelley Long in like the white polka dot dress.
That would be, I would love to have that. I think we need to get like a group of people together for Halloween and be Troop Beverly Hills and try to sell Wilderness Girl cookies.
Wilderness Girls of America cookies.
Yes.
It's funny how in movies, Scouts are never portrayed as the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. Very few, because I guess you have to pay for it, and they probably have very, very strict guidelines about what you can do. It's probably only like G-rated movies. And this is a movie geared towards kids for the most part, although one of the first jokes in the movie is about like boffing the pool boy or something like that.
Yeah, and there are a couple bad words in it.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure many moms had to, at a sleepover, had to explain what boffing meant to them.
Yeah, well, that one even kind of went
with
that age, which was good. You know, you can kind of suspend disbelief, but it was, you know, it was definitely that campy 80s, end of 80s type film geared for quote-unquote kids or adolescents, but as a grown-up rewatching it, it's fun. It's hysterical for me. It is so great.
And so many good performances in it.
It really is.
First of all, let's talk about Shelley Long. What happened?
She nailed that role.
She did. And here you have Shelley Long from Cheers, of course. And
this was post Cheers, though, right?
It was after she left Cheers.
Yeah.
Because she left Cheers for a movie career. And she did The Money Pit, which is a classic. And I don't remember what order these are, but she did The Money Pit, and then she did Outrageous Fortune with Bette Midler, which was a huge hit. Mm-hmm. And then she goes off on her own and does Hello Again.
Yep, remember that gem? I do.
Where she chokes on the giant South Korean chicken ball. A chicken ball that ended it all from the trailer. I don't know why that's lodged in my brain. And then she does Troop Beverly Hills, which is like her big, this is it, the Shelley Long movie. And then that was the end of her big movie career.
Yeah, oddly enough, out of all of those, though, the one that was kind of like the nail in that era of her career, in that coffin, is probably the one that people would talk about the most. Because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't see people talking about Hello Again. With,
right,
you know,
yeah, nobody remembers that.
Love.
And even Outrageous Fortune kind of went by the wayside, but Money Pit's a classic. Troop Beverly Hills is good stuff.
Yes,
and it's got like a wonderful costume design in it. Mm-hmm. Like her costumes that she wears are crazy. I bet we could probably Google Troop Beverly Hills Halloween costume or cosplay even and find some crazy outfits out there.
It is a level of gay that this movie. I mean, and it's also like it's like a lot of like my gay male friends love and remember this movie as
awesome.
Kids, which I love too. And I'm like, this is why I love this thing so much, because we can watch this after we watch like Real Housewives, and it's
because so much of the movie is just like the do I say juxtaposition of like camping and being rough, but then they go to like a hotel to camp.
Going to the Beverly Hills,
and you know, instead of a canteen of water, they drink Evian and whatever. They have a carpet out at their campsite and stuff like that.
Just like roughing it 9 people in one bathroom.
Right? Yeah, that's what I call roughing it. Really silly jokes like that, and it just goes for like 90 minutes of just that. And this is the movie I was talking about. The soundtrack is like all synthesizer.
I never like, and the kicker is they actually have a couple of like kind of known songs, like in the dance sequence when she's teaching them dance. And the soundtrack, the scored soundtrack was just abysmal.
Yeah, right. But cheap. $8 million doesn't get you.
It does not.
$18 million doesn't get you the London Symphony Orchestra like Flipper was.
But the genius track is the recorded, Cookie Time, which they use about 4 times in the film as an instrumental, as a segue song. Like right after they perform it, they just keep reusing it. They like on a loop.
The theme to Cookie Time. The one song that stuck out to me was there's a bit where she's giving CPR to the dummy. I guess they're getting their CPR. The
cop.
The cop.
Yes.
Gives CPR to her, right? Mm-hmm. And she gets down on the floor and she says, do you remember? Or she says something like, last time I did this, I got more than a badge for it.
And then at the next scene, it cuts to her writing down his phone number underlining
But while that scene is going on, the song in the background is called French Kissing in the USA, which I thought was hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, and it actually turns out it's a Blondie song, or at least they covered it, because I found that on Spotify this morning when I was looking.
Okay, so they did a synth cover offshoot.
Yeah, it's a crappy remake of it. Carol Chapman has listed it in the credits, and I couldn't find that version, but I did find Blondie singing the exact same song, so...
That must have been the way for them to
Your
do
eyes just
pop
lit up,
songs without paying people.
Yeah,
and just
a cheaper
doing
version of it.
Yeah.
Because it does fit in with the whole theme of the movie. And when we're talking about a cast, you can't forget to mention Ms. Roper in this movie as the head.
There were a couple people that I didn't realize were in it.
Yeah. Well, you got Betty Thomas is the mean villainess who was from Hill Street Blues.
Blues, but this was the last thing she ever acted.
Yeah. That was her last acting, and she's directed like the Brady Bunch movie and the Howard Stern movie and and Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Shelley Long in the Brady Bunch movie.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
those are great movies, and then there's like Annette and Frankie have a cameo in it, which we mentioned when we were texting our love of Back to the Beach. Folks, just take a minute and get a pen and paper out and write this down. Back to the Beach. Go find that movie and share it with your family, and you will.
And then you can start singing Jamaica Ska with the rest of us.
And the Bird, Pee Wee Herman. This is a movie. Let me tell you how great this movie is, folks. For no reason whatsoever in the movie, Pee Wee Herman just pops up. Well, there's perfectly good reasons. It's
because it's awesome.
It's entertaining. For nothing to do with the movie, Pee Wee Herman pops up, sings Surfing Bird, and then flies away on a flying surfboard. Mm-hmm. And then we get right back to the story. So do yourself a favor. I could do a 2-hour show on that movie.
I think you should.
And you mentioned like you had special memories of that movie with your mom, or
yeah, because that was a movie where she grew up watching all
the beach movies. It's a sequel,
Disney whatever. Disney-esque type.
Yeah, Disney-esque, but...
so it was kind of like the perfect, thing to come together with that generation. And basically, really, it's a remake of that type of film, but more campier
right,
from the 80s.
It's like a send-up, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a send-up, but
so
not
good.
completely.
So damn good.
It's so much fun, and it's just a fun movie. You just have a good time watching it. You have a good time thinking about it and talking about it. And so many great, fun cameos.
Yeah, in that movie, too.
Yeah.
And this movie, and Troop Beverly Hills, had not only a lot of cameos, but a lot of people that went on to
do things.
Tori Spelling's in it.
Yep. Yeah, she plays one of the Red Feathers.
Yes. I didn't recognize her, but
she was hard to recognize.
Yeah, she's very younger. Mm-hmm. And Carla Gugino, or I don't know how to say her name, but she's in
TV stuff now.
Yeah, she was just in San Andreas. To me, she's always the girl in The Son-in-Law. That was like the movie where I first met her, the Pauly Shore movie.
Oh my gosh.
That's a great movie. But she does a lot of TV. Kelly Martin from Life Goes On is in it. And then the main, Shelley Long's daughter in the movie is Jenny Lewis. Yeah. Do you know her from anything else?
She is
in a band.
An indie singer.
Yeah.
And she's been in movies, and I really don't know what she's been in. I just know she is an actress.
She was in The Wizard. She's the girl in The Wizard.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And then I saw she had a Golden Girls credit, so I had to go reference to see what that is. And she played a Sunshine Cadet in a cookie-based episode of the Golden Girls.
So typecasting.
Right. So you need a fake Girl Scout you call Jenny Lewis. It's a great movie.
It's fun.
People should go find that. How much of and Robin Leach has a little cameo.
Robin Leach does have a cameo. For those younger listeners, we didn't have entire networks talking about extravagant. We didn't have Bravo growing up. We had, like this one little syndicated television show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous
with Robin Leach.
Robin Leach, and he became a staple of what you thought extravagance was. Right. And anytime, and even you would joke about it with your friends if you saw something like hoity-toity. Yeah. You would do it in your Robin Leach voice.
Everybody had a Robin Leach impersonation.
Yeah, with your Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And you just did it. And you usually did horribly, like I just did. But it was a thing of growing up in the 80s, And he was in the film, and she was hosting, I think, a fashion show to sell more cookies.
And he's there. And his catchphrase on his show was something like caviar dreams and champagne wishes and caviar dreams. And in this, he says khaki wishes and cookie dreams. Yes. And he looks like a little bit of his soul is dying as he's saying that in the movie.
And in the banter afterwards, like, no, you're fabulous. It's like, it looks like two gay men just trying to compliment each other, and I love it. I love that scene just for that little end bit.
It's a great movie, yes. Troop Beverly Hills. Go find that. Here's the deal. Like, months ago, I know it was like this calendar year, I had a copy of it in my hand at Walmart. Mm-hmm. It was in the bargain bin. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this. I haven't seen this in forever. It was like $3. And then I noticed it was the full frame version, so being the good movie loving person I am, I put that back because I don't want full frames on my shelf. And then I wanted to find it, to do the show, and I went back to Walmart. I dug all through that bin. I could not find it. I went to 3 Walmarts, could not find it. Went to Target.
Nowhere.
I went all over the place. I finally found it at the mall, at like a used copy, and it was the full frame.
I think it only came out in full frame.
Probably, yeah. It's also out though in a dual box set, and I've got a picture of it, like a nice one of those box sets where you get like the cardboard box around it. It's like the Slumber Party pack, and it's Troop Beverly Hills and the Babysitters Club movie.
There you go. You don't need anything more in life. Right. Just that.
And I literally spent a whole day looking for this movie, ladies and gentlemen. So please.
I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, I am too. It's such fun. And
I would consider that a productive day, just to let you know. I would be proud of myself.
Yes. Now, I will be remiss if we don't move on to number 3 here and talk about Network from 1976,
yes,
because I know this is
where my list goes. What?
Well, all your other movies are all 80s, and then we got Network here, which is Academy Award winner and all this stuff. So this is the only movie on your list that I have not seen, and I wasn't able to track down a copy to watch.
I have about 7 of them.
I see 3 of them in my revision right here.
You know how some people, every time they re-release Star Wars, they have to buy it? Well, I'm that way with Network. I won't re-buy Star Wars because I have the originals on DVD.
Right.
Don't need to. Oh, there's another Network coming out with an extra commentary that they dug up from Sidney Lumet's grave? Yeah, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
So tell us about Network real quick.
I was, I think, about 14, and I remember my aunt talking about this movie. And I think I saw it on cable, again, of course. And I absolutely fell in love with this film. It was kind of like that, the interesting point in your life where you're starting to do higher level thinking. Right.
I was thinking that when you said 14.
Yeah, it's when that adolescent period where you kind of come out of that and start to kind of do some grown-up thoughts.
Some people. I think I was 14 when True Beverly Hills came out.
Well, in that time, I was the weird kid that, when they were 10 years old or 11 years old, was watching Comedy Central, watching Politically Incorrect. Because I was like, oh, it's funny people saying smart things.
Right.
So I was that kind of weirdo. So I saw this movie, and I remember my aunt saying, oh, it's hysterical. And I got the humor in the film, but I was also, really hit in the face with, this happened. This ended up becoming partial reality.
And tell them what happens in it real quick.
Basically, it's the story of a newscaster, Howard Beale, who has a breakdown. Pretty much on air, and it's within the first 5 minutes. And he is played by Peter Finch. Okay, the great Peter Finch.
Who won Best Actor for this?
He did. After he passed away, for first actor to do so. And he has a breakdown on air and just says, you know what, I'm going to be fired. I'm not going to be here anymore on this network, so I've decided that next Wednesday I'm going to kill myself live on the air, and that'll give people enough time to camp up the ratings and make it, big deal. So they pull him off the air. Everybody freaks out, and they're like, hey, the ratings spiked. And then they basically start using this man's mental instability to gear ratings on a news show, which then in the 70s would have been unheard of.
Right, in 1976, this was pure fiction, almost science fiction.
Yes, it was. But when Paddy Chayefsky wrote it, he was like, no, I'm being serious. This kind of thing will happen. And he was kind of right that news became entertainment, which it did.
Definitely.
And I saw it it would have been after the Gulf War, which was when CNN blew up.
Right.
So we were already in the 24-hour news cycle, infancy. So this kind of mentality of news and entertainment had already blended together. So when I saw it, I was like, this is biblical.
And it was already 10, 15 years old at that point.
Yeah. But a great... And there are some insanely funny bits in it. Just ridiculous. Like, the contract negotiation with the terrorist group for a reality show is probably one of my favorite. That is just... There's shootings in it, and it's just absolutely hysterical.
For most people who aren't familiar with the movie, your reference point is I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it, which
infamous
is
monologue.
right, infamous monologue, which is up. That's not on your picture. That's your picture is a different speech. You said.
Yeah, everybody's going to know the film from the the big monologue, which is actually like his second big monologue in the film of I'm mad as hell and I'm not.
It's a multiple monologue film.
He has some of the best. Yes.
Is that a stained glass window he's in front of, or is that
C-3PO?
C-3PO? It looks like C-3PO
It's a stained glass window from when they're like, okay, this guy's totally lost it. He is a prophet for our modern era, and they turn the network news into a show where he gets up in front of a stained glass window and does these big long rants.
Nice.
And,
okay.
And then a bunch of other random stuff that would pass for news today.
I definitely want to track this down.
But it's got Faye Dunaway.
Right.
Probably.
Who won Best Actress.
She did, and she does one of her best performances. And
outside of Dunstan Checks In.
Outside or Mommy Dearest.
Mommy Dearest.
But I actually have found myself now as a grown adult woman in corporate America pulling a lot from her character as basis of who I am.
That's
which
great.
Probably speaks badly about me.
No.
I don't know. Watch the movie.
Well, okay, I guess. I'm just like, oh yeah, movies in real life. That's awesome.
I'm like basically like that character without the daddy issues. And Robert Duvall.
Awesome.
He is so good in this film. And just the number of actors in it's astonishing.
Yeah, Ned Beatty was nominated for Best Supporting, and actually
for 4 minutes.
John Carpenter's in it.
What?
John Carpenter plays George Bosch. I don't know if that's a minor character.
I don't think it's this. Is it
the
same
it
John
is.
Carpenter?
According to IMDb, it is. Yeah, it's probably a smaller role. It was further down, but I had to note that.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to rewatch it again.
Look for him. George Bush, or B-O-S-C-H, which sounds like George Bush, which is kind of funny. And there's also an actress in it, Conchita Ferrell. Do you know her?
No.
She, just a character actor. People probably know her from, unfortunately, 2.5 Men.
Oh, no, yeah, she plays her assistant. I know the woman. Yeah, she plays Faye Dunaway as character's assistant.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she actually is very good in it.
And it was directed by Sidney Lumet, who's a great director who did Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day is a great film. Great film.
The Wiz, which is odd.
Yeah.
And then he directed this movie called Stranger Among Us, where Melanie Griffith goes under. She's a cop.
I remember that one.
And she goes undercover as an Hasidic Jew.
Yes, I remember that
That's one. That's a good movie, though.
I remember that.
I think this also was nominated Best Screenplay, Best Supporting Actress, Best Director, Cinematography, Film Editing, all kinds of stuff.
Best Film to Rocky.
I meant to note that, but I did know 76 was Rocky. Yeah.
Which,
if you're going to lose to something, I mean, come on, Rocky's...
It definitely would have been a close call for voters, but, I mean, Beatrice Taylor won Best Supporting for that, and she's in the film 5 minutes.
Beatrice Straight?
Beatrice Straight, right. Thank you. 5 minutes.
Really?
5 minutes of screen time, gets an Oscar.
I hate to shoehorn in all my stupid movies. No, I don't.
Go for it.
Beatrice Straight, I was like, oh yeah, she got one of the actors. Who is she? And I'm looking through her thing. Did you ever see a movie called Two of a Kind with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John?
I think I have. That one...
Where there's like a bunch of angels trying to save the world, and they have to make John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John fall in love. She's one of the angels. Charles Durning is in it.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, and then the devil's in it. I forget who plays the devil, but then like they'll like begin a scene and they'll be like stop, and the whole scene will freeze except for the four angels, and then they'll like rewind, and it'll like,
so this is early 80s. I'm going to guess because of the casting.
Yeah, it's after Grease. It's like, Grease was popular. Yeah, you have to see that.
So it's like after Grease and after Urban Cowboy.
It's such an awesome movie.
I'm gonna have to find
it's
that.
Absolutely terrible.
It sounds really familiar though.
Yeah, it was one of the. I saw it on HBO. It's one of those HBO 1,000 times, but I've seen it recently. I saw Olivia Newton-John in concert recently, so
How was it?
It was awesome.
Yeah, nice.
And she sang a whole bunch of songs from Xanadu, which is one of my faves.
I wouldn't mind adding her to the list then. That might be fun. Yeah. But yeah, Network is definitely... I love the film. If you have time to watch it, do it.
It's only 2 hours. It's not super long.
It's not super long, but it's there's a lot there.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
It's a multiple watch. I recommend.
Let you know.
Yeah.
Let's move on to number 4 real quick. Gung Ho from 1986.
Yes.
Which I found on VHS, a copy, and I was just like, I'm just going to grab it because I had just been looking for the DVD and I couldn't find the DVD.
It's hard to find the DVD.
Yeah, and I went to Goodwill and found like the original DVD with the old Paramount sticker logo sticker.
Nice.
Yeah, it was so nice to watch and that's a movie. If you're going to watch a movie on VHS, let's watch 1986 Gung Ho with Michael Keaton.
Yes, and I actually find myself quoting this film probably the most.
I saw it when you watched this just the other night, didn't you?
I had
you posted it on Facebook, and you and some friends were going back and forth with some quotes. So I was like, yay!
And the funny thing was, when we talked about doing this initially with the conversations, my brother was up here helping me with the bathroom remodel, and I told him about it, and I was like, here's the list of what I want to do, and I mentioned Gung Ho, and he's like, oh God, I haven't seen that forever.
Me neither, yeah.
And I mentioned one scene or like one line, and he's like, oh yeah, with the little kid playing G.I. Joe. And that is Neighbor's Child.
Right.
Which is just a hysterical line in the whole film. He was able to finish up quotes and remember.
Nice.
And he hasn't seen it in 20 years.
Yeah, that's how the good old movies work.
Yeah. That was, both of us, I think, watched that one a lot.
So this got Michael Keaton in top form again, just like Kurt Russell.
His top film, in my opinion.
Yeah? Okay.
Haven't seen Birdman yet.
I didn't like Birdman at all. I got lost on that.
Really?
But my personal Michael Keaton favorite, Johnny Dangerously.
That's a good one.
That's a great
very,
movie.
very good one.
Such a good movie.
That's a great one, yeah.
But tell them what happens here in Gung Ho.
In Gung Ho, it's basically, your typical Rust Belt story. Factory closes up, so this guy, I guess he's like head of the union or something, worked for the factory.
Yeah, they don't really explain what he did.
They don't explain what he did. They just explain he's going to Japan to try to woo this Japanese car manufacturer over to America to start making cars again and basically save the town because all the manufacturing is gone. Typical, pretty telling story because you could tell it right now. But
right, yeah.
It then cuts to going to Japan, which includes probably my favorite Pretender song in the opening credits, which is Don't Get Me Wrong.
Yeah.
I love that song, and it's a
Man, when I put this
sequence.
in, first of all, I slide the VHS in, get the old logo going and everything, and then that song kicked in, I was like, yeah.
It's a gem, isn't it? Yeah. It's a really good, typical, story of, two cultures colliding and the hilarity that ensues, and then you throw Michael Keaton into the mix leading the charge.
In top form, I said.
Yes.
And it made me miss good old Michael Keaton because he does not do much of anything anymore, yet alone do straight on.
Wasn't he in Searchlight or Spotlight?
Spotlight, yeah. I just saw that the other night, but he's like real reserved and he's playing a normal person, but all those like Michael Keaton movies, which his prime years, 82 to 89, I think he's chewing gum in every scene in every movie.
Yeah.
So good.
That quirky era of Michael Keaton, I
Night
think, is
Shift.
gone.
Did you ever see Night Shift?
Wow.
I haven't seen that. But
I vaguely remember.
I know you love Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom, yes.
Johnny Dangerously, Gung Ho, Beetlejuice, of course,
everybody's
loves.
favorite, yeah.
And then even tacked on the Dream Team there with Christopher Lloyd. They're like psycho patients or something. And they go
that was a good one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in forever.
I haven't been able to find that one anywhere.
And then he did Batman, which of course was a huge hit. But then after that, he kind of went serious on us.
Yeah, the last thing I remember like seeing him in seriously and liking it was an HBO film called Live from Baghdad.
Yeah,
with Helena Bonham
I heard
Carter.
that was really good.
It was really great.
Spotlight was really good too. Obviously, it won Best Picture.
I have the DVD here, right here, but I have not watched it.
Did you get it from Net? Oh, you have it. Okay.
Yeah, my aunt just buys them and then we just trade it.
Must
We
be
basically
tough.
have our own Netflix.
That's excellent.
And it's Baltimore
That's
to Brooklyn
awesome.
Park. Yeah, we just kind of do that.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. George Wentz in this too.
Yeah, he's great in it. He's so good in it.
It's like a little glimpse of what it would have been like if he had really gotten a good movie career going. Of course, Cheers.
He did have some good stuff, and then John Turturro, is in it.
Yeah,
he's great in it.
And Gedi Watanabe is the main guy from the Japanese factory,
the Japanese manager,
and he was driving me crazy. Like, what do I know him from? I thought he was the guy from Police Academy, the Asian guy in Police Academy, but that's not him.
I thought that as a kid.
Yeah, he is. Because we're all Asian guy. That's him.
Exactly.
We admit. But no, he's Cooney in UHF, the karate.
amazing gem,
amazing film, yes.
which, yes, I do own a copy of that because I'm a smart person.
And did you know Gung Ho was turned into a TV series?
That I did not.
Which completely, that's one of those things that was tucked like so far back in my head. And as soon as I read that the other night, I was like, remembered it completely.
Really?
Like, not even a full season, but I totally remember watching that show.
Was it like a direct movie port? Or was it like tweaked?
No, it was based on the show. It had all the same cast except Michael Keaton was played by Scott Bakula.
What? Whoa! Whoa!
I just blew your mind again.
Why hasn't this been turned into a Netflix series?
I know. I don't know. Yeah. No. Yeah. There's an episode on YouTube. So
okay.
You're going to YouTube in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Watch that.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. Well, on that note, I think we should wrap it up because we're hitting about an hour. And, I mean, how do you top Gung Ho, the television series starring Scott Bakula?
I don't think you can unless somehow Alf comes back.
And much like... Oh, don't get me started on that. Much like Matt Damon on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, we're going to have to table movie number 5, Clueless, yet again, because that was on the last episode. Diana, that was on her list, and we didn't get time for it, and we're not going to have time for it right now. And even if we talk about the amazing cast of Clue... Did I say Clueless?
You did.
I did. Clue. Clueless is amazing also,
yes.
But Clue...
It would take 5 minutes to talk about the cast.
Yeah, it's so great. So we're going to have to table that for another day. But Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking movies.
Thank you for having me.
Inviting me into your home, your lovely home. And you can catch, if you want to follow Jamie on Twitter, and what would you describe your Twitter feed as? Just whatever.
Random things with occasional bad words. Well, guaranteed bad words, we'll just say it.
And me sending you gifs of Small Wonder. Oh, we didn't mention that the girl from Small Wonder is in...
Yes, she's in True Beverly Hills. She plays one of the True.
As soon as she came on, I was like,
friend.
It's Harriet!
Yes.
And I looked it up, and it was Harriet, and I was like, yeah, all right. Oh, man. All right. So, Jamie on Twitter at Vera Blue, me on Twitter at Ed South, but more importantly... Follow our show at WYF Movie Podcast. Fave Movie Podcast at yahoo.com is our email. And folks, if you could just take a minute, share the show on Facebook like Jamie did. So nice of her. Just give it a quick share. Tell your friends about it. We're on iTunes. We're on Spreaker. They can find it. It's all good.
It's on the internet. Figure it out.
It's on. Yes, it's on that internet thing. Jamie, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Episode 5 here, and I still don't have a good sign-off for my show, which I need to work on. So... Actually, I think until then, I'm just going to say, please, have khaki dress dreams and cookie wishes. Whatever. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Take care.